Welcome back to WTOP's Beer of the Week. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes Where We Are, Church Key, downstairs, Birch and Barley, of course, GBD and DuPont Circle. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What is on tap this week?
So this week, I know you have trouble drinking these, but this is an Imperial IPA. And a brand new one.
Again, Greg?
From Schlafly.
Ooh, I like that.
Schlafly, so St. Louis Brewing out in St. Louis, Missouri. This is their 23rd anniversary beer.
Wow.
It's Imperial Topaz IPA. And it's a kind of a nice little coincidence that the topaz, and I've found this on the bottle, so I'm not making this up, is a gemstone that's typically given for the 23rd anniversary. And as luck would have it, the same hop farmer in Tasmania that grows the wonderful Galaxy hops that Schlafly uses to make Tasmanian IPA also grows a really big, intense hop called Topaz. So it just, the stars aligned, and they went for an incredibly huge Imperial IPA, 10.2% with Topaz hops, and that's what we have right here.
Let's get to it. And Topaz is a birthstone for one of the months. I know mine is turquoise, December. I don't. There's like a
yeah. I'm just trying to think which one it was.
Thank you. That's nice.
Cool.
Slightly on the malty side.
Yeah, and also that's a little bit of sweetness from the higher alcohol percentage too, 10.2%, which is great. But it balances the bitterness, so it's not insanely bitter. Great bottle conditioning, so it's got this creamy, frothy head. And Topaz is a cool hop because it's alpha acids, which is the way that we, well, that's where the bitterness comes from our hops. It's how we measure by percentage how much bitterness is going to come from a hop. It's high. It's like 15 to 18% here. So I think originally Topaz was developed as a bittering hop, used mostly in the early stages to give you bitterness, in the same way that Summit and Columbus are used. But just recently they started using it for a kind of finishing hop, a later edition hop, for more aroma, and you get that really cool kind of apricot, lush citrus quality in the nose.
I'm not sure where the first place I tried Schlafly. It was, I know I enjoyed it, fresh on tap in St. Louis, covering the Nationals playoffs there one year.
That's right.
What sort of thought goes into an anniversary beer? And I'm sure there's probably no one answer, but did they tend to go to something that was maybe their mainstay when they started, or? Right.
I mean, I think it can go a lot of ways. And as somebody who's involved heavily with brewing beers at Blue Jacket every day, it's a great question. Like, why brew this thing then, or now? And so there's lots of influences. I think in this case, what we talked about, coming across this great hop that, they probably intended to use at some point, and then being like, oh, Topaz, this makes sense. Let's try it. This is as good a reason as any to brew it now. But to your point about styles, Schlafly has made a name for itself creating incredibly true to style beers. They make an outstanding oatmeal stout. You know what I mean? They make great bitters. They make classic British style beers very well, classic Belgian style beers very well. Recently, they've started to go into exploring hop driven beers, and that Tasmanian IPA, TIPA, is fantastic. So I think they felt like, let's keep pushing it in that direction, because they've been getting a lot of notoriety for kind of that angle right now. But who knows, maybe for 24, they'll go back to their roots and brew like a classic English barley wine or something like that.
This isn't that surprising. I had no idea they had been around for 23 years, but there's all sorts of these great breweries across the country that have been around 20, 25 years longer that only in recent years a lot of beer lovers out here are learning
actually
about.
Getting, because they were so regional up until that time. And it's cool too. Church Key, we've done, ever since Schlafly came into the market, we've done their anniversary party every December. So Dan Kopman, who's one of the founders, and Tom Schlafly, his namesake, will come out and we'll host this giant event and get to pour a number of their amazing beers.
What would you pair it with the lower bitterness? It's easy.
But bigger sweetness too, a little bit easier, yeah, and a lot of fruit in the nose. So I think thinking like this lush kind of apricot fruit makes me think of something that goes well with IPAs anyways, which is pork in all of its manifestations. So you can do this like grilled pork chops, especially when you grill it, you pick up some bitterness of the char to handle the bitterness in the beer. But then we can also do it with like some pork ribs, especially if you got like a really rich kind of tangy, but maybe sweeter tomato-based sauce on top. Pork-based sausages, chorizo, something with a little bit of spice could be tasty as well. And then just maybe like a pulled pork sandwich, again, with that kind of rich tomato sauce would be excellent.
Maybe next week we can talk a little bit about a couple good beers for the Super Bowl that won't, they're maybe rich and taste like a session IPA that will allow you to make it
go 4
to
quarters.
At least half to go 4 quarters.
Take it all the way home.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.